Well, let's all listen to former Senator Bob Kerrey, Clinton supporter, talk up rival Barack Obama.
There is a smear campaign going on, and people acting as if he's an Islamic Manchurian candidate. And I feel it's actually a substantial strength. He is a Christian. Both he and his family are Christians. They've chosen Christianity. But that connection to Indonesia and a billion Muslims on this earth, I think, is a real strength and an awful lot of value in his foreign policy efforts. I've told Barack Obama when I've met with him, it's something that I've spoken about before, so this is not something that just sort of came out of the head birth out there in Iowa. I've thought about it a great deal. I've watched the blogs try to say that you can't trust him because he spent a little bit of time in a secular madrasa.
So is Hillary backer Bob Kerrey pretending to sell Obama but clearly putting the shiv in? Here's Hillary Clinton defending him and Bob Kerrey. I think the remarks were very positive. I know Bob. He was being very complimentary of Senator Obama. He was making a point that Senator Obama makes himself all the time, that because of his upbringing and his heritage, he's, in his view, catch that line, very well suited to communicate with the rest of the world. And he has just said himself that he wants to have a particular outreach to the Islamic world. So I think Senator Kerrey was being, you know, very generous in what he said. But didn't Hillary dump on Obama a few days ago for playing up his Indonesian roots? So what's she up to here? Is she pushing how great he is for having been born in Indonesia, or what? Or simply reminding everybody about his background, his Islamic background? Remember, a couple weeks ago, when White House spokeswoman Dana Perino, who speaks for the President of the United States, giddily explained that she didn't know anything about the Cuban... We have no idea who pulled this trick. Nobody knows who did it. Right. Somebody gave Drudge a picture of Barack Obama on that trip last year to East Africa, to Kenya, wearing local costuming. I find
well, don't get in trouble, because I said the same thing, and
I
they said
find
he's not
nothing wrong with it. It's the question, because everybody...
The Bob Kerrey apparent attack on Obama. First it was, he says to reporters after endorsing Hillary Clinton, the fact that his name is Barack Hussein Obama, his father was a Muslim, his paternal grandmother is Muslim. So he says he means this as a compliment. Then the next day he goes on CNN and says, some people say he's the, quote, Islamic Manchurian candidate who went to a secular madrasa. Why the hell would you bring that up unless you wanted to reinforce in voters' minds this guy is a Muslim? Osama Obama, get it?
Well, that's clearly what he wants to do. This is very
You think so? There's no question?
No question in mind. This is clever and Clintonian, a way to bring down Obama, to say to people, those who say that he is a Manchurian candidate, I don't agree with that. If a Republican said any of the things Bob Kerrey said, if Rush Limbaugh had said the things Bob Kerrey had said, you'd have 10 days of story about how awful and racist and phobic they were. But Kerrey has cleverly gotten this in by saying, I don't agree with those people. I think it's wonderful. His middle name is Hussein.
You went to a secular madrasa?
I don't know what a secular madrasa is.
Well, there is no such thing as a secular madrasa.
I want to say the word madrasa. And the Islamic Manchurian candidate, that is an amazing line. And I think it's Bob Kerrey's a smart guy. He knows exactly what he's doing.
I feel like I'm the only person who cares about this, who's noticed this story. It has been nowhere. Why is this not a stream?
Laura Ingraham was. I got to give Laura Ingraham credit.
Okay, Laura,
she was laughing over this hysterically this morning on her show.
I mentioned it in my blog yesterday morning. This is the deal. This is the deal. It's. I think if it came out of nowhere, it would be one thing. Bob Kerrey, as we all concur, is a smart man, but it was right after the drug story with Billy Shaheen stepping down from his co-chair role in New Hampshire. It's right after they were saying, "Oh, we didn't mean to further that cocaine whoops story." You know,
okay.
So the problem is, it's part of if they've given up that habit and he was coming in for the big endorsement announcement, it would be the last thing he would do.
It's just so unbelievably sleazy. Like it's so sleazy you can't even believe it's actually happening.
But it's very smart because he's gotten these ideas out into the discourse. There's not a whole lot of complaints about him. He needs to. The Clinton campaign needs to raise Obama's negatives, and frankly, Hillary and Bill better not do it because they'll raise their own at the same time. Right. So the way you do it is the cleverest way you could come up with. I can't think of a better way. Is somebody like Bob Kerrey goes out and says, "I hope people don't think there's some problem because his middle name name is Hussein.
You just wonder what Bob Kerrey gets out of it, since he's a well-respected guy. A lot of people, even Republicans, like the guy. He's smart. He's the recipient of the Medal of Honor. The college president's like, why does he need to shill for Hillary in a way that is divisive and nasty and frankly kind of repulsive?
Well, you want to think that it's not true, but I just feel like when they want someone on message, they know how to keep someone on message.
I guess.
Politicians can do two things. They can say Hillary's wonderful, or they can say Obama's terrible. That's all you can really do, and he's done it in a clever way.
Wait, but I guess the problem with the story is Obama didn't go to a madrasa. It's not his fault that his relatives are Muslim, even if that were a bad thing. It's nothing to do with anything he did. That's why it's so deeply unfair. When you attack other people's families, situations over which they had no control, it's unfair, I think.
No,
a lot of things you could attack Obama on. They should stick to those. Bill Clinton, turns out, has money tied up in a Cayman Islands account. Cayman Islands fund run by his pal Ron Burkle. He may be pulling the money out. The reason this caught my eye, it was Bill Clinton who complained in public recently, I'm not getting taxed enough. It was Bill Clinton's wife who said, this offshore stuff, essentially tax dodges, is there another reason to have an account in the Cayman Islands? No. Are immoral. The irony of this, the irony alarm went off. It hasn't gone off since.
Well, look, Bill Clinton once again was telling the truth. He's not being taxed enough because he's putting his money in offshore tax havens. That's one way not to get taxed enough. It's a very clever way that rich people can do.
Do you have any money in the Cayman Islands? I mean, is there the Clinton?
You don't believe that Senator Obama's a Muslim?
Of course not. I mean, that's, that there is no basis for that. I take him on the basis of what he says, and, there isn't any reason to doubt that.
You said you take Senator Obama at his word that he's not a Muslim. You don't believe that he's a Muslim?
No, why would I? There's no,
right?
No, there is nothing to base that on, as far as I know.
It's just scurrilous.
Look, I have been the target of so many ridiculous rumors. I have a great deal of sympathy for anybody who gets, smeared with the kind of rumors that go on all the time.
Her big leads in a...
These emails are obviously not just offensive to me, somebody who's a devout Christian who's been going to the same church for the last 20 years, but it's also offensive to Muslims because it plays into, obviously, a certain fear-mongering there.
It happened again last week when this photo of Obama in ceremonial African tribal dress during a visit to Kenya was featured prominently on the internet and attributed to people in the Clinton campaign.
Campaign simultaneously buoyed by a big Iowa endorsement and scrambling to respond to the rise of Barack Obama. Joining me now, Laney Davis, former White House special counsel to Bill Clinton. Laney, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
So Hillary Clinton is famously against the politics of personal destruction. And yet, Bob Kerrey appeared at an event this weekend in Iowa on her behalf. He was only in the state to endorse her, and he said this to reporters, and I'm quoting, "It's probably not something that appeals to him, but I like the fact his name is Barack Hussein Obama, and that his father was a Muslim, and his paternal grandmother is a Muslim. There's 1 billion people on this planet that are Muslims, and I think that experience is a big deal." Now, Barack Obama has no control over his middle name or the religion of his relatives. Why bring that up except to remind voters that he's a Muslim, and that's scary? This is an attack.
Well, first of all, I'm here as a private citizen. I'm not officially connected to the campaign.
But since you know everyone involved, I'm interested in what you make of this.
If I were to say something that is not particularly smart, would you immediately accuse that of being part of the Hillary Clinton conspiracy? Bob Kerrey was a United States senator, lost a leg in Vietnam, is a great American.
What does that have to do with it?
Why are you necessarily attributing that to Hillary Clinton? He considers it to be positive that, according to Senator Kerry, who I greatly respect and I believe is a sincere man, he considers it to be positive that there is that background in Senator Obama. I think it's an unfortunate comment that he made because people in your profession might twist it and say that he meant it badly. I don't think he did.
In my profession. Okay, well, here's what Bob Kerrey said today on CNN about 25 minutes ago, just a second ago, in an interview with John King on CNN. He said this: "That's not something that just sort of came out," talking about that comment, in Iowa. "I thought about it a great deal. I've watched the blogs try to say you can't trust him, Obama, because he spent a little time in a secular madrasa. I feel quite the opposite."
That's a sincere...
He didn't go to a madrasa? What is that? That's, again, throwing it out there so bigots can look at that and say, oh, my God, he went to a madrasa? I mean, that's an attack on the man's character.
First of all, and religion. You're entitled to criticize Senator Kerry.
You know what that is.
I happen to think that Senator Bob Kerry is a very sincere man.
David, what did you think of Senator Clinton's response to Steve Croft's question on 60 Minutes the other night about the religion of your candidate?
Well, I was surprised, you know, because I know they've been in prayer breakfast together in Washington. She knows very well that he's a Christian, that he's belonged to United Church of Christ church in Chicago for almost 20 years. She knows all that. I was disappointed that she answered the way she did, or at least bewildered by it. And, you know, but I leave it to them to explain what she meant by it.
Do you think she's pushing the notion that he may be a Muslim?
Well, I'm not going to climb into Senator Clinton's head and try and divine what her motives are. All I know is that she knows very well that he's a devout Christian, and I would think she would have spoken up unequivocally about that in that interview.
Okay, David Raxelrod, top strategist for the Obama